Everybody ready? Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Planning Board meeting of December 16th, 2020. It's 6:35 p.m. Angela, if you would do roll call vote for members, I'd appreciate it.
Deborah Burrows.
Here.
David Christensen.
Here.
Edward Zelmanow.
I'm here.
Lori Anthony.
Here.
The standard treatment.
Dwayne Prescott.
Here.
With Kayla Goddard and Michael Venture absent.
Thank you.
The
Quorum has been met. And we're going to proceed with the agenda items as listed. If no one has any objections. Okay, first, after roll call, we have meeting of previous minutes. The meetings of the previous minutes are not ready, so we will not concern ourselves with those tonight. The next order of business, under new business and public hearings, is HEP Energy. Jeff, if I remember?
Yes. Yeah.
If you would like to start with a brief overview of your project for the public, I'd appreciate it.
So, you want me to go, or would you like to jump in?
I go up and then.
Okay. So with me here is, so we've got Tom here with HEP Energy. He's one of the developers. We also have the property owner here today. So Tom Donnelly would like to just say a few words.
Quick word.
Certainly, certainly. Podium? No, I think you do not, yes or no?
Okay.
Podium,
thank
you good? Wonderful. Okay, Madam Chairperson, member of the committee, thank you kindly for all the service you do and provide to the community. As one of the owners of HEP Energy USA, we're based here in Portland, Maine, and as a company, we're funded by an international German bank that we do nothing but solar development around the world. So this is what we do. It's what we do every day. We're not an opportunist development firm. We're in this, have been registered by the equivalent of the SEC in Germany for over 10 years, and we're a fully funded investment firm that comes in to do these projects. One item that's come up earlier by Mr. Feldman and others was who the owner of the property is, as there was some ambiguity with regard to might have been done through the registry of deeds or something not getting booked, I'm unsure. So if you wouldn't mind, Avery Day is the property owner. He just bought it a couple of years ago, and I just want him to introduce himself so that you know he's a real person. He wants to participate in the community also. Okay?
For the record, if you could state your name, please.
Sure thing. My name is Avery Day, and not a resident of town. We actually live in Yarmouth, Maine. But thank you all for the time and the work you're putting into considering this. We are the property owners, me and my wife Sarah, and you'll see her name on some things too, I think. We haven't owned it very long, I think just a couple of years. And you know, we never had this in mind. We've got a 10-year-old son, and I grew up out on Vinyl Haven, and you know, we always went fishing and hunting and that stuff. And what attracted me to it was there's a snowmobile trail there, there's the ATV trail, and you know, we live on a third of an acre in the middle of a town. So when our son got older, we decided we wanted to do some stuff outdoors. So that was the idea. And then met Tom through a scouting friend, and one thing led to another, and here we are. But that was never really a grand design. It's just kind of come along that way. But again, I'll stop talking. I know you got a lot of stuff to do here. I appreciate all your time looking into this.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, would you like me to microphone to do the summary, or just sit like we were doing before? I can also pull up a screen that has a figure on it as well, what we're planning, if that would be helpful. Or I can just give a verbal description of what we're looking to do here.
I don't know how many.
The podium is always better.
Okay.
The podium is always better because the speaker, the microphone picks up that
A little bit
particular.
of feedback and everything else?
Yep.
Okay, sure. So, my name is Jeff Reed, I work with CV Mahar Engineers, and I'm here tonight on behalf of HEP Waterboro SPV, who's the subsidiary of HEP Global and Avery Day, to help present this project. In general and overall, the project is a 4.875 megawatt AC solar array that we're proposing for a parcel located off of McLucas Road right here in Waterboro. The parcel is 137 acres, identified as map 7, lot 51. As we've identified already, it's owned by Avery Day and his wife Sarah. And the parcel is located in the Conservation and Forest and Agriculture District. The array that we're proposing is going to be approximately 750 feet off of McLucas Road on the interior of the parcel, kind of in the central southern portion. It's going to be slightly less than 20 acres of developed land. That will include the array footprint as well as the access road that we're going to construct to get to the array from McLucas Road. As the board and staff are aware, but for the benefit of maybe some residents who haven't been following the process as closely, we initially presented the project on December 2nd, and we had received some town comment from staff and from the fire department. We had updated the plans and resubmitted on the 8th, which are the plans that are included on the town website. We've actually already received some comments from staff on the plans that we had resubmitted on the 8th. I actually have some updates that we have completed and are working on. These are primarily to address some current concerns by the fire department and the access road. What we have done in the access road to this parcel will be a 20-foot wide gravel road. It will cross a stream that is going to require an improved crossing from what's there now. We actually have some photos of that area. It's a snowmobile bridge with a 12 or 15 inch, metal culvert that is mostly rusted out. It doesn't even have any cover anymore. It's just laying in the bottom of the stream bed. So the crossing that we're going to design is going to be per DEP standards, basically stream smart stream standards that'll allow some channel and some access. It'll essentially be an open bottom box culvert that will also meet some of the fire department needs and concerns in terms of traffic rating and loading, width. So we'll have a 20-foot wide road there, and again, it'll be designed structurally to accommodate any sort of emergency vehicle or construction vehicles, which, in all honesty, are going to put a higher load on this than the actual emergency vehicles. So the array itself, as I outlined, is going to be roughly 19 acres of solar panels. It'll be surrounded by a 7-foot tall chain link fence. There'll be a gate with knot lock and Knox box, so the fire department will have access. One of the things that we're working on right now is an extension of the fire department access road to the far side of the array with a turnaround and a hammerhead. Again, that's not included in the plan sets that you have right now. That was based on a fire department comment that we had received on that plan set. So we're already trying to get ourselves updated so that we have something that they can support and stand behind. In a nutshell, that's the project. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you.
Sure.
Questions from the citizens of the town of Waterboro?
Absolutely. Jason Merritt, 15 Trinity Ridge Road.
Yeah, if you could go to the podium, thank you, and also state your name for the record. Thank you so much.
Jason Merritt, 15 Trinity Ridge Road, Lot 7, or map 733 plot. One of the questions here in the letter that I had said that there was supposed to be a benefit to the town, to the people. Now, I made several phone calls to some people that lived in an area where one of these was built. And they were unhappy with the demonstration of the benefits from this. Now, they didn't get into the benefits, but they certainly told me they were unhappy with it. Without any further information, I relaxed my conversation with them and said thank you, and figured it's my job to look into it, anything more than that. One of my big concerns here is if we have the maps, do we have the rollout of the maps over here? Edwards, if we look at one of those maps, I do have it on my phone, the map itself has an inaccuracy as far as land plot and dimension. It's not only inaccurate, but it shows a small plot corner which would be farm and agricultural property belonging to Alan Kinney. That plot goes beyond 3 acres. It's actually 13.62 acres, if I'm correct. I've talked to Alan Kinney tonight. Due to quarantine, he is home. He will not be on Zoom tonight. So his words can't be spoken, but I don't need his words to propose what's happening here. I brought my map to show a survey of the actual map where that does go, and that does exceed his property and, of course, into mine, and I am on that list of butters. So the idea was to be able to make that known. That might help in some way, it may not, but the map itself by Richard Eaton, who has surveyed the entire mountain, and there also can be a copy of this, and I'm going to show you, Jeff, right off the bat.
Yep.
R.W. Eaton and Associates has this map, in case you ever want to look it up, but it clearly shows in your map, which is here, which I previously this week did look up according to number and took pictures of it. It shows a small portion of property here, and I'll turn this around rather than walk around the room and pull that up. I will if anybody asks me to. But here you have Pam Tozier's property. The property that you show on your map goes here. This is Alan Kinney's property. Alan Kinney, in fact, owns further property that goes further back. So the map that you have here and the information is not only invalid but incorrect. The information is taxable information, so it's here. It's in this office, it's in the vault, wherever you want to look, or call Richard Eaton. He would have that information, be happy. I already talked to him, he'd be happy to make you a copy of that. Now, aside from that issue, I moved here in 2014 with the idea that Jocelyn and I might find what we call serenity. I moved from Ohio Ridge Road, from a nice camp on Moose Pond, and somebody decided to put in a tower. You go out on my porch, you got a coffee, it's 6 o'clock in the afternoon after work, and I get a look at that. And I said, we're out. Now I went to that meeting, and it was a failure. So I say to myself, what do? I get out of Dodge. So I came here. Now I have an opportunity. Everybody say hi to Jocelyn.
Hi, Jocelyn.
Yeah, there you go. So, in the midst of this, seeing this project, at first, I was null and void in the whole idea, but I had to be open-minded. I came steadfast with this because I own the ridge. That ridge has enough acreage to build 2 houses, mine and hers. I can overlook the lake at a height elevation of 18 feet on that ridge. So I asked myself, will I build a house for myself and for Jocelyn if I see solar panels? What kind of serenity am I looking at? Do I want to build a camp or a cabin, which she has to look out the door and see that? I'm not really sure it's a great idea. I'm sure there's a way to go around it. I'm sure you could put up a trump wall, whatever you want, whatever you want to call it, nice beautiful trees to block the view, but unfortunately, my property abuts the property, and I have been there with my drone, and I just, in my head, can't see how I can build a house for my serenity, for my daughter and I, and still think that that's going to make it okay. So in my head, I really have to ask myself if that's going to graduate, if the thought or the feeling about building a house and coming here to do this is going to work. And that's a big thought. I already did my best and built the house to try to get this, and I had to move away because of a cell phone tower. That cell phone tower didn't hurt me a bit. I didn't get cancer from it. It didn't bother me, except when I walked out and I saw it. I said, wow, that's what I was asking for the whole time. Here I am in Waterboro, one of the most beautiful towns I've ever been in. I'm retired. It's time for me to enjoy life with my daughter. So here I am. I really need to express that if you work your hardest to get to that point, you got to do your best to make sure you get it. And that ridge, above all, is the point for me and my family to enjoy that. I want to build a house out there. I want to have 2 log cabins, hers and mine. And I've been working my butt off to get to it. And I really hope that we can somehow come to an agreement where I can still do all of that and make that okay. And there's not much more to say except that's what I'm going to strive for through this entire process. It's important to do that. And again, the benefits from this, I'm not really sure. It would have to be expressed and in full, because I'm not selling my property for money. You can't buy serenity. You can't buy a hot cup of coffee and enjoy it, watch a deer, or eat the apple tree and go across your property. You can't do it. I know people who have tried and they can't do it. So in my position, I literally have to have a better reason to accept it than to give up what I've been working for the last 15 years for her. And if I can't say do it for me, and the greatness of all, do it for the children. Right? All right. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Both of these lots have been surveyed? Or just Alan's lot?
My lot is surveyed, Alan's lot is surveyed. That is done by Richard Eaton in Westbrook. Yep, my map displays it in full, his map displays it in full. And deeds are available here at the town and tax recommendations.
Thank you.
Everything is in order.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Would either of you two like to speak?
Survey just for some nice
I'll show you the map.
outlines of, yeah.
Yep.
So if you wish to just have a quick review of that, I'll go up and speak and answer
The oldest of 3 other watches.
I just want to see how it matches up with ours.
Ours came from the tax maps, right?
Ours came from the tax maps.
Thank you.
Here, your abutting property goes all the way over here. So your abutting line and the one you have shows the farm and agricultural property to here. Now, the map that you have corresponds with the property owned by William Harris back in 2003.
Because nobody
So,
knows what
the only reason why that's
looking
showing
at,
up
what
is
they're
because it's
talking
farm and
about, nobody
agricultural and was
at
only
home.
attached due to a purchase from William Harris.
Gentlemen, for 1 second, 1 second. Lee J., with this conversation, is this appropriate for now, or maybe they should discuss it between themselves afterwards?
Later.
Later.
Yep.
Agreed.
Okay? Just so we can move on, we've got other people on hold.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So just hold this for a second.
So-
I'll look at it, try to match it up.
Yeah.
All this talk. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, board members, everybody.
Thank you for your words.
How was that, Jocelyn? Van, way to rock it.
Thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to being a cooperative neighbor and working with you. First of all, with regard to boundary surveys, and we had sent in a note and a letter or in response, or actually Jeff had done it,
Right.
with regard to, I will say there's ambiguity out there somewhere. We are doing a full Alta survey on the lot. Our surveyor has identified that it's gone back to 1944 on some of the deeds. We do believe there's a number of other granite monuments out there, both to the north and to the east and to the southeast, which need to get established. And the tax maps, obviously, which we started with for our concept designs, don't show what this gentleman brought forward here. And we will obviously be reaching out to Mr. Eaton and see where it is. And we want to find out, one thing Lee J had brought up earlier was identifying exactly where the road is, making sure we're the right footage back from that, as in McLucas Road and so forth. So we intend to do all these items. We're hopeful to have those items back in and around mid-January, which I know they're, technically they're not in planning, they're in the building and code enforcement side, but it's just that we're looking at this and we want to do this right. We don't have any ambiguity about doing that.
So mid-January, you're expecting your Alta, is the Alta survey done?
No. All
Okay,
the
so
surveys,
January and for
well,
both?
the Alta survey is under research. We've gone out and done some markings, but the history has been a bit difficult to chart together. So that's what we're doing right now.
Yes.
So
Thank you, sir.
okay, and to have this gentleman bring forward somebody who's already done something on another adjacent property is a huge benefit. We can
Definitely.
tie everything in together. It's correct at that point. So, sir, with regard to your concern regarding viewscape and so forth like that, these properties come back. Our fence line is 50 feet setback from our property line. Those first 50 feet, there's nothing cut. Everything stays and remains exactly as it is. Then you have a 7-foot high fence, and then we come back, I believe we're 10 feet back from that in some areas, some are a little wider because of the access road. But when we come back, our array stands maybe at the maximum 10, 11 feet high off the ground. So as nature will provide its natural blocking around with the trees and so forth, it will block out certainly the edges of all that array and everything that's there. I believe the viewscape that you're referring to is to the southeast of your home, or the northeast of your home, I believe, to the lake.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're on essentially to the northwest.
You are literally in front of my home.
Well, we're not in front of the lake, so that's where I'm trying to, and I apologize, I don't know exactly where your house is.
The way to say it would be, I own the ridge, and when I put a house there, and I walk out on my second porch, my second floor, I will see nothing but solar panels. Nothing.
So, all right, okay.
Even if I didn't see the lake, I would still see solar panels.
Okay. All right, so that's the natural buffer we put in place. We meet all the code requirements that are done with it.
Sure.
We don't cut any of the trees that are outside of the area that we're dealing with.
Right.
And that's where we are.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Thank you, sweetheart.
No, not offhand, outside of the fact that, outside of the issues that we've already identified, and that's that we're complying with the comment and the request, we're having the survey done. And I guess at this point, I guess I'd just like to take it and verify what we discussed at the last meeting. We're not looking necessarily for a full boundary, we're looking for a boundary adjacent to the project area so that we can verify appropriate setbacks, make sure that we're on our property and installing the array within in compliance with the town ordinance.
That would satisfy my office, yes.
Okay. Then I've got nothing else to say on this. Yeah, thanks.
Gary, you have somebody?
Guy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Madam Chair and Board, Guy Piper is on the phone here. I think you can hear him. And go ahead, Guy, with your comments.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words. Basically, my concern is the McLucas Road goes back many years. My relatives and other relatives, they go back to the 1840s. And the cemetery on there, McLucas Cemetery, you have LL Bean that promotes the outdoors. There's hundreds of, maybe 1,000 or more people that hike up and down that mountain every year, and that's a quality of life experience right there. Also, you have the fire tower on top of the mountain, and the McLucas Road is a popular area for the people use year-round. Summer, I mean, you get a lot of tourists that use that road. In the winter, people even snowshoe up there. The Skidoo Club goes up through there, and so it's a quality of life area there. And I kind of hate to see that being ruined by something like solar panels. Solar is good, but it's and then the wildlife that are up there. It's nice to see the deer and other wildlife when you're hiking up and down the mountain there. And when people think of Waterboro, a lot of them think of the McLucas Road, especially the tower. And I'm also concerned about the environment. Up on that mountain, there are springs. I know one spring that is on the McLucas farm, and I've drinking water out of up there since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. And that's something I would hate to see ruined, is the springs on the mountain. And I understand too that they're going to do a clear cut of 20 acres. I mean, how's this going to affect the environment? I mean, water goes downhill, so we go back to the 1800s, and it's a great town, great people. And years ago, the family also, they started an Episcopal church that has since is not active now, but that goes back to the McLucas family. And so we still own land. I own land. Other relatives own land on that mountain. And then too, I understand this solar installation. They're not going to pay any taxes. But if they don't pay taxes, I mean, they're still going to require the services for the police, the fire department, and other services for the town. And by rights, they should help help with that. And it's a great road. So basically, the main thing I'm hitting on is the historical value of the road to the town of Monmouth. And the more you still have relatives that are alive and still have a sincere interest. Got relatives in Pennsylvania that are very interested, and they own land on McLucas Road. Got relatives in Massachusetts. They own land on McLucas Road. Got relatives that's from Connecticut. So it's a tight, and it's a very historic part of the town, and that's the main thing that I'm talking about. And also the quality of life with people. When they think of Waterboro, they think of Ospey Mountain, And my mother years ago. My mother and father recruited to go to Vietnam for the State Department, and my mother was recruited to go to Vietnam to be principal of the American school in Vietnam. And so when my mother was in Vietnam, the father was in there for the State Department. In the first meeting, my mother got up and spoke, said her name was Lorenza Butman Piper. I was brought up on the bottom part of Ospey Mountain. You folks have probably never heard of Ospey Mountain. And there was one of the directors got up and said, I know Ospey Mountain because I used to live on the other side of Ospey Mountain, and he was Star King. So even over in Southeast Asia, way back in the 50s, I mean, people, were aware of Ospey Mountain, and it's a great area, and we're very fortunate to have a lot of good people in there. Town office, I think, does nice. The York Sheriff's Department does a nice job, and then other units, so I'm very concerned. Other relatives are very concerned too. That we're going to lose the quality of life, and LL Bean, that's what they promote, hiking. A lot of people that their gear is LL Bean that use that road. Every time of year. A couple of days ago, I was down in Waterboro, and there was a lady hiking. I mean, and up and down. So, but no, I appreciate the opportunity to speak a few words. But I really hate to see a solar farm go in that area. There must be other areas that they can put a solar farm in. because I'm worried about the quality of life, the quality of the wildlife, and also, the springs and whatever up there.
Okay?
Any questions for me or anything, or?
I don't see any, guy.
I appreciate the time, and you folks keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
So you want to address these one by one?
yes, you may.
Okay. So, I can certainly appreciate the sentiment and the value that people hold on a piece of property like this. I just want to start out pointing out that it is privately owned. What we're asking for here is a conditional use that's approvable based on the zoning and everything else. And there may be a little bit of confusion here about the invasiveness or about what we're actually proposing to do here. One of the first items that I guess I took out of this, the fire tower and the access and the hiking, we're not looking to displace the road or change McLucas Road or prevent any sort of access that's existing right now. My understanding is that a lot of the hiking and the fire tower access, you keep going up McLucas Road and up and around, that's all going to stay the same. We're going to be located on the kind of central and eastern portion of the overall parcel, so we're going to maintain all of that. In terms of quality life, displacing deer, wildlife, that sort of thing, it's 20 acres of a 137 acre parcel. Most of that, my understanding is harvested already. So a lot of it's already cut. What we are proposing as part of our work, just in terms of stabilization and improving conditions. I mean, we're obviously sensitive to erosion, other environmental issues. That's why we outline that we're going to replant the area, meadow mixed grasses. We're going to mow it a couple of times a year to keep it manageable and safe as far as fire and those sort of conditions, and general maintenance of the array. But again, we're not looking to displace the deer or any of the other wildlife. There's still a lot of land up there for them to occupy. Like I said, most of it's clear cut already. Taxes too. There was an issue there, and not that this should necessarily be an issue for the planning board, as maybe the assessor or other departments here, but again, maybe there's a little bit of a misunderstanding about there are tax advantages and incentives that the state has established to try to encourage clean energy in the state. However, to say that there are no taxes is not entirely accurate. The property owner still pays property taxes on the land. That's not going to change. As far as the development and the value of the array and whatever's constructed on site, the town has the option to apply for up to a 50% reimbursement of that value from the state. And I believe the state right now and the Mills administration is actually working on additional incentives and opportunities for the town to recover some of that cost. So it's not completely tax-free. So the town doesn't lose what they already have. In fact, they have an opportunity to gain up to 50% of the value of what's installed. If there were other points, I don't know if Guy is still on the phone or available, that I may have missed that he made, I think that touches on most of them. And again, I mean, we're sensitive. The area has been, a wooded mountain forever.
Could you, in your words, address his concerns on services, town services?
So, thank you very much, because that's a great point too. So, I understand what he's saying. I think that might be, again, maybe a little bit more of a misunderstanding there too. As far as security, the array is fenced and gated, in part because of electrical code. You know, it needs to be. I mean, it's an electrical installation, and they need that security. There's going to be a gate at the array. There's going to be a gate at the entrance off of McLucas Road. And again, this was an item that we had discussed previously at other meetings and come up with staff comments, and in particular the fire department. So there'll be a gate to the access road. It's a private site. It's private property. You know, that portion, you know, I think for people's safety, they're just not supposed to be up in there. You know, the access and the recreation is around another way. With regard to, again, the fire department and emergency services, after construction, the array is not an occupied facility. There may be a service crew that goes up there once or twice a year for regular maintenance, but outside of that, it's uninhabited. There really shouldn't be, you know, anybody up and in and around that area, or additional security that should be required to support the array from town services. Obviously, you know, there's no water, there's no sewer, there's no trash, there's none of those other services that you would expect with a residential development. It just goes up on the hill and sits there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Can you add to that, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Again, in addition to the requests and what Jeff did wonderfully, as we said, the array will be enclosed with a 7-foot-high fence. There's a system called a SCADA system, which is all database that monitors the array. There's a security camera network attached to that. The SCADA system actually goes back to our central offices in Colorado, where we monitor everything from there 24/7. If somebody breaks into the gate, cuts wires, try and take out a panel or anything, it's a matter of seconds before the system goes off, and then they start advising local police and whatever is happening. So the protection side of it is actually significantly greater than you would find for a typical substation or anything like that. To expand on the fact of, you know, you're not needing to find another classroom or portable classroom, a school teacher or a school bus or anything. Whatever the money is, where the legislature stepped in and said, here, we want to encourage this activity, they're going to give you 50% of the tax benefit, and I believe they're expanding that more. I don't know much of it, and I can give you the actual legislative number if you want to follow it up. We're working with other communities on whatever reporting they will need to gain that, to garnish that funds from the state. I don't know if you need statements or whatever, but whatever is needed, we'll certainly do that.
Work with the town and the assessor for that.
Right. I didn't realize until Avery brought up and others that there's snowmobile trails up there and so forth. You know, we've reached out in the past on other projects to snowmobile clubs, some of our projects in Canada. They become a destination, so we put signage up, tells them what the output is, whatever. That area is covered with a camera. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, a curiosity factor. People snowmobile up to wind towers, wind farms and cell towers all the time. So we realize that, so we're not going to try and lock people out if they're going to do it, and Avery's okay with them on their land. I can't stop it, and I want to make sure that they're safe, and there's a learning part out of it as well, and we're happy to do that. Okay?
Gary, is there anybody else on the phone?
No.
Okay.
I'm told there may be some people calling in.
Okay. Do you have anybody on Zoom?
So I have a letter. John and Pat, do you want me to address your letter, or do you want to speak yourselves? Can you unmute John and Pat for me?
Is that better?
Yep, it is now. Do you want me to address your email, or do you want to address it?
No, we can address it. This is John and Pat Martin. We are one of those descendants of the McLucas farm, 180 years on the mountain. We are direct descendants of McLucas. And we had a couple of concerns. First of all, we just got the notification because we're out of state. And so we just need more information. Our concerns had to do with the completed survey, which you have addressed a little bit, that it's not completed yet. And we're more concerned about, once it is, can we review it? Is there any, what about if our survey doesn't match your survey? What is the process of review? I think that some of the other folks, including our cousin, mentioned the environmental impact. Again, we're just trying to understand what the impact of a clear cut of 20 acres would do to the topography and also to the water, the runoff water, coming downhill, certainly the wildlife and the wetlands. We're just trying to understand what that impact would be and if there's any impact to the high tension wires that would have to take the energy out. Again, we're trying to just understand the situation. We've been brought up, on the mountain and, either it's been farm or forest land, so we're just trying to understand what that environmental impact would be. You did address one of the issues in terms of security. You're absolutely right. People are going to go on the property whether you want them to or not. So we were concerned about that. It seems like the fact that you have some cameras and so forth there, that'll help. But I guess one of the other things is that what is it? And this is to the planning committee as well. What is it to cap this at 20 acres? Why not next year they come back and they say it's going to be 30 acres, 40 acres, 50 acres? Or, because the plot of land, is 130 some acres. What about other, adjacent folks that want to start clear cutting? So I guess what is the precedent, that we incorporate if we move forward? And, again, people are talking about quality of life and keeping things. So how do you get the best of one world and retain the essence of the serenity and the environment and so forth? How do you balance that and how do you cap that going forward? Anything else, John? Okay.
On the survey.
Oh, yeah, my brother's very concerned about the survey. And,
The survey will go to, I imagine, the plots they have.
Right.
Now, I was just up there a little while ago.
Yeah.
And I didn't see any.
Yeah, well, he said that they haven't completed it yet.
Yeah.
So we just need to understand that process and to be part of that when that survey is done. But again, it's the survey, it's the environmental impact, we're trying to just understand it and what the precedent will be going forward. Does that help?
Well, the survey, if it's done and done correctly, yeah, it helps. I don't particularly like this, but we'll see
what it looks like.
What it looks like after it's done the survey.
Right.
But on the second survey they had, they didn't do any water. There is a
spring.
There's a spring there. It'll take you right down into the water.
Right. Okay. Did you have any questions for us?
Could she repeat what he said? It was very muffled.
Pat, can you repeat some of what your brother was saying? Because he was very muffled where he's sitting in the background.
Okay. Well, he's over here. What basically he's saying is that, we would like to be apprised of the process and how the survey is being done. There's a lot of feeder water that's going into the property. And, we just want to understand, not only the survey, but the impact of anything to the watershed. Just trying to understand what that environmental impact would be.
And again, I don't know whether you noticed it when they surveyed their job, very bad job.
Well, they haven't finished the survey.
There is a spring there.
Yeah, the spring.
there is also a stream that runs through there. That is just the sources of water from the top to the bottom. Those are our main concern there on that side. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
So was that last comment spring or stream?
I think it was
There's both.
surface water and springs.
Okay.
There's a stream and a spring.
Okay. So I guess just addressing that
I
most
don't
recent.
know- I don't know if you know that there is a stream, there is a few other things here skid through. I don't think that water has ever been tested. That's true.
Are they done, Angela?
Are you all set? Are you all set, Pat?
We're all set.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, so with regard to the springs and the survey and surface water and groundwater and that sort of thing, before we started on the project, the project was evaluated at a fairly high level, just concept design using national databases to survey wetlands, streams, that sort of thing, what sort of natural resources are on the parcel. As this went on into design, we had Boyle Associates review the parcel, along with Norse Surveying, who provided some preliminary, LiDAR contours in the area and that sort of thing. So the area has been reviewed by appropriate professionals, wetland scientists, and the streams and the stream and wetlands and what was identified as the potential vernal pool, mapped on the parcel, were all located by qualified wetland scientists. So, the people who know that, and we've done our best. In fact, we've got basically zero wetland impact. We stayed outside of the footprint and the critical terrestrial habitat setback for the vernal pool. We located the array to be away from those natural resources. And again, where we do cross the stream, it's going to be a stream smart design, which is what the state typically wants for any sort of a new stream crossing. Like I said, it'll involve an open bottom culvert so that you have habitat for insects, animals, that sort of thing. 1.2 times the bank width. All those standards are going to be adhered to with the design for the natural resources. With regard to other environmental impacts, solar is actually one of the preferred developments, especially on a scale like this, for this size, because it doesn't, there are no emissions, so there are no air quality issues, there's no extraction or discharge to groundwater, it doesn't create waste, it doesn't create trash. In this case here, I think one of the comments, as far as the interconnection with the electrical grid, there's no high tension power lines or anything like that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
All of the electrical within the array will be either along the ground or underground. We do come in off of McLucas Road with regular phone poles because we need some above ground, four poles for the electrical equipment before we can go underground. We're probably going to bring the poles up to the array overhead, but they'll be single poles. It's not going to be high tension wires or that sort of thing. And I understand and can appreciate that we keep coming back to the survey piece on this. People are very protective of their property, and they should be. But again, we've contracted with a licensed surveyor who's going to put together a legal survey, that is, it's going to be proper, it's going to adhere to all the state protocols, and I suspect that they're going to be communicating with, for example, Mr. Eaton, just to verify that everything matches up. So hopefully any sort of conflict or any sort of confusion that has arisen by using the tax maps will be eliminated by the actual ground survey. Frequently, that's what happens. As Lee J had mentioned before, tax maps are good for planning purposes, but when you actually get boots on the ground, it's time to find out where things really are. There's really no replacement for a ground survey, and we're in the process of doing that. The unfortunate part is that, based on the parcel and the age of the parcel, there are no meets and bounds, so it's going to require a fair amount of deed research. Right now, because, the deed predates 1942, there are no electronic copies available, so you've got to make an appointment with the registry to go in and do it all the old-fashioned way, and that just all takes time with COVID now. And that's the unfortunate part, but they're working on that, and we should have that soon. She didn't seem to be too concerned about the security. I think what we had talked about before addressed those concerned. With regard to increasing the size of the array, to be perfectly honest, I don't think there's anything that would prevent that. I can tell you right now that that's not the plan for this property right now. And any sort of new or any sort of addition or expansion on what we're proposing to do right now would require additional permitting. We'd be back in front of the board for an amendment to the site plan. We would be back in front of DEP for additional stormwater and potentially site law permitting. So, none of that's going to happen and go unnoticed or just by the side. I think the last thing that I wanted to mention, and this ties back in again to the survey, as far as opportunity for people to review. This information is public information. There are hard copies available in the town office. There are electronic copies that can be forwarded of the plans that are available to abutters, again, through the town, or we can even forward those.
Those have been sent out
Yeah.
to several different abutters already that have asked
So-
for electronic.
Yeah, so the information's available and it's public and it's accessible. When we prepare our final plan and what we would like to do and what we had talked about before is that based on some of the timing of this, if the board is agreeable to it, ultimately when we ask for final approval, if we don't have the survey, we'd like to ask for that as a condition of approval, because that's something that we're not going to be able to build without anyway. And that's something that we could review as part of a building permit application. Again, we're a little off of that right now, but in the ideal world, that's what we'd like to ask, and we'd hope the board would be receptive to that.
Or we've lost Lee J. Gary's working on getting him on the phone and bringing him in via speaker.
Okay.
And I think and I hope that addresses all of the Martin's comments.
Yes,
Yes,
I think you point out all the points. Certainly.
I just wanted to address a question.
Hold on, Jason.
I'm just gonna try to get access back.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
Is that Lee J?
And go, that's Lee J. Okay, Jason, sorry.
Thank you, no problem. No problem. I wanted to address something that was written but missed, and I think I would speak for quite a few people around the zoned area. Taxes. We had talked about taxes earlier. I want to make it quick. We have a great lineup of people up here. Taxes. When this goes in, do our taxes go up? And if they do, who pays those taxes? Do I get to pay them? Or does the company voluntarily accept a certain percentage of that tax in residence to these people, including myself? That's my question. Thank you.
No problem.
top of my head.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to get in on two items there. The tax issue is that there's no reason why it should be going up. I can't control what the town chooses to do or not to do. But essentially, these go in and they're quiet and they stay there unaffecting anybody, and that's what they do. The other part about it came up was the size of the array as of the 20 acres, and Jeff kindly pointed out that we'd have to come back in front of the committee and so forth and go in front of Maine DEP. This program we're involved with, which was promoted by the state of Maine and passed by the legislature, is designed for 20-acre parcels or less. Okay, so our system size goes in, that's it. There's also criteria around it that once one's established, another one can't go in. I think it's a half a mile. I might be within that. There's a certain mileage that is there. In other words, I can't go out and put another one right next to it on an adjacent piece of land. Do you understand what I mean? It's the objective is solar is one tremendous benefit in that it is it meets it's at its highest production while energy is at its highest usage. It's coincidental energy we produce the most during the middle of the day, and they want to do is distributive generation throughout the state, where these help the existing grid systems work better and they don't have to import more energy. So with regard to your pole size, and I heard the word tension cables, and by the way, I had a very good conversation with John and Pat Martin earlier this week, and it was a tremendous pleasure meeting with them and speaking with them. It's just your regular three-phase T-top pole, that's it. And the line will be upgraded all the way to the substation, so if anybody has any other development that they want to do, that, you know, whether it's commercial, industrial, or whatever, they have an upgraded line that's there. So just to let you know that that part of it is in. So I believe there were the main issues, everything, but the tax part, there's absolutely no reason. I don't believe that any taxes should be going up in any way because of our system. Okay?
Is still no one on the line that wishes to speak?
Susan? Can you unmute Susan Pearl, please?
Yep. She looks like she won the lottery. She got it.
I know.
Okay.
All right, unmuted. The tax situation I didn't even think of right now because I'm concerned about a fence. Someone mentioned that there's going to be a gated fence putting around or a chain fence around the solar land. Is that true? If so, I would prefer it not to be a chain fence, but a privacy fence, because I know what the solar panels look like. You can see them. I think it's over past Cornish, Baldwin. There's a town, 20 acres is huge. It's ugly, it's disgusting. No, you wouldn't want it in your backyard, and it will totally change the dynamic of that full area as far as the wildlife, as far as the property value and it all. So I definitely would want something privacy. I don't want any part of the solar panels to be viewable from my property. And also I'm concerned about the map, because I have Richard Eaton's map also. And I don't know what map that they're preparing, but I'd like to know if there's any difference coming out between Richard Eaton's map and HEP, if that's correct. I'm not sure. They said though, the fence part is big to me, because it's turning it into, I just can't imagine, it would look like Long Island City when you see the solar panels. Long Island City in New York. That's what you're putting in your backyard. And no, there is no benefit to the other property owners, and there's no benefit to the town. And also, yes, there might be taxes for the property, but is that property being taxed at the same rate as my 20-acre property? How can I find that out? Right now, that's the most question I have, because like I said, the map, I'm concerned about, the fence, and the taxes. So it's been covered by everyone, I think. And, so I'm just waiting to see what we're going to get back, what answers back.
Thank you, Susan.
So again, back to the map, and just to be clear, you know, we're talking about boundary survey here, which is basically going to be a reestablishment of property boundaries based on available records. The record, from survey to survey and surveyor to surveyor, I mean, the records are all the same. Okay, so they're all referencing the same materials, and they basically all come up with the same result, or very close. You know, and that's part and parcel of what it is to be a licensed surveyor and do this stuff in compliance with appropriate codes, ordinances, and laws. So boundary surveys on adjacent properties, I mean, it should just be a verification of that. Okay, if the records are there and that's what they are, then that's what they are. And again, all it is for this project is going to be it's a transition from, you know, again, the way that you go in and you develop these is you come in at a high level. You know, you do an initial site assessment, a preliminary design based on available, inexpensive, online, usually resources. In this case here, it was tax maps. Now it's time to come in and verify that info through our design, and that's what we're doing. So again, I want to reassure everybody that you know, we're not going to come up with a different survey than what your surveyor did. It's all the same stuff, and it's just a matter of collecting all that info and putting it on our plan. As far as the fence, yeah. So what we're proposing, and what's standard practice in the solar industry, is chain link fence. There's an economic value to that. You know, when you're fencing 19, 20 acres, you know, it's a lot. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not even sure. I'd have to go back and check. You know, I'm a civil engineer, not an electrical guy. But I don't know if stockade fence would meet the electrical code that requires the fence around the perimeter. What I would like to point out, though, is that, you know, through adhering to the town minimum setbacks, and the fact that we're not proposing to cut, you know, in those, is we're going to have a natural 50-foot buffer from the property line to the array. So from adjacent properties, from the road, these items are low enough. Like I said, I think Tom said, what, 10 or 11 feet? Certainly lower than the level of a tree. You're really not going to be able to see these from the property line.
Could you, either of you, she did mention glare and lights. If you could speak on glare and lights.
Okay, so as far as lights go, there are no lights proposed out here. It's not a security motion sense. If she's worried about reflection and that sort of thing, you might be better.
The solar panels themselves.
If you could swap, please.
The solar panels themselves want to absorb light. So they basically have a low luster coating on them, doesn't reflect. It's not like a sheet of glass or a mirror or anything like that. So it's designed to absorb light, and that's the way they work. We have no, you know, apart from if you were doing a project by an airport or something, then glare becomes an issue. But essentially, no, there's nothing that you can see. The other thing is, coming back to Pat and John Martin's comments, I've walked the property a bunch of times, and I've been up on the northern end, and I could see where I was delighted when I spoke with them. Their surveyor had flagged it, and he'd flagged the boundaries that were familiar to us, and where the spring was and the stream and so forth. And so we'll definitely be reaching out to them and find out what information they have, because obviously we want to, you know, consolidate everything to make sure it's correct. There's no upside to not having it correct, because that will help us on the road boundary and so forth like that. Okay?
I was not mentioning lights so much as the visual of the solar panels. That's what I wanted to know, if anyone took in consideration what those panels look like once they're set up aside from your property, because You can build what you want on your property and turn it into a solar business, which is fine, but what I'm asking for is the privacy fence so that I don't have to see it from the end of my property. It has nothing to do with sound, it's visual. It is not appealing at all to the eye, and it's not something that was anticipated, expected. That's why I was asking, and linked into the taxes, like, are we being taxed at a business rate now? Is this commercial property that I'm bordering or so? I don't care what you do with your property, but I don't want to see it or know about it. And when you say 20 acres, fine, it could be a small amount or a large amount, but 20 acres is a little bit more than what I expected a neighbor to be building a 20-acre solar panel. And the planning is you did not consult your neighbors before making these plans, or else I wouldn't be coming to the planning meeting after the plans were already made. I know it's not complete, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Susan, that is.
I don't see a benefit, I do not see a benefit to the neighbors at all. I know the water will be sliding straight down to the stream on the side of our house that started, and it's normally a good balance, but that will probably increase. There's nothing really Thank
you, Susan.
I don't know whether you're trying to become industrialized in Waterboro, and that's fine, but not into Clough Lane or the original Clough Lane, what I call the old Clough Lane. There's a family there.
Susan?
That's private, sacred land. It's a family there.
Yeah? Thank you,
I don't want
Susan.
disturbances. I don't want visuals, anything.
Susan,
So
thank
if they
you
can
for
understand that, and like I said,
Can she hear me?
I don't know. I'm not really hearing much other than what they plan on doing. Thanks for telling me about it, but since you did tell me about it now.
Hey, Susan.
Let's fix some of the problems.
Susan.
Sure, I can't tell who's coming. I'm sorry.
Have they addressed everything that you want your survey check to combine, to verify the boundaries, correct?
Right. The survey,
Yep.
Richard Eaton's the survey that I know, it sounds like it should match, and I know the concern with my neighbors are the same. The privacy, I don't know how much anyone else is concerned about that, but like I said, I unfortunately passed through, it was off Cornish, I'm not sure if it was in Baldwin yet, but there's a new business or solar, probably about 20 acres there, it might be yours, but it is not attractive. And there's a lot that isn't attractive in the industry or so, but this is, they don't want it.
Susan, I think we've captured your concerns, and this is what the public hearing is for. So this is the correct time. We thank you for everything that you have said. Unless you have something new, you've said everything else fine?
Well, about the fence, but I'm hoping that it doesn't happen, so that it wouldn't be a concern, but I want that noted, what I mentioned about the fence, yes, but.
Susan,
I was glad to hear about, that there's other concerns too, about the taxes, about the property maps, about the environment.
Susan?
So it's not new.
Lori, talk into your mic.
Susan, all your concerns have been documented and recorded, so we know what your concerns are, okay? Thank you for your input.
I don't think sounds came up.
Yep,
No lights.
thank you for your input, Susan.
Okay, thank you.
Who's next up there?
Can I say something?
Yep, Nancy, you're all set to go.
You can hear me.
Yes, we can.
So, my family is also McLucas, and,
yeah, what's her name?
Did she identify herself?
Nancy, can you identify yourself, please, for the people in the audience?
yes, my name's Nancy Coleman Pendleton, and my family we jointly own the McLucas farm that's abutting to the north of this property. So I'm concerned in general, but my big concern is that the impact that this may have driving up the road, up the McLucas Road, and the, whether it's going to be visible from the road. You have addressed this, but I just wanted to emphasize it's always been such a very unspoiled, natural drive up the road, and I think whatever could be done to be sure that there's enough vegetation left so that the arrays, if they're put in there, are far enough back or that they're concealed by trees and other native growth. So that's a big concern. Second thing, which you were just talking about, is the wiring and any poles. You're going to be putting up new poles, I think you said, from the base up to where the entrance is into the solar array. I think that's what you said. These are new poles, you're not going to be using the existing poles along there. And if they are new, I'm just wondering, are they going to be beefed up and bigger? Is the wiring going to be more obvious or more high-tech? That's a question, what the wiring is going to look like. And the last thing I'll say, it's been covered a lot, but the whole issue of surveys and property boundaries, there's been years and years and years of trying to get the surveys and the boundaries correct for various properties. And what my family has now, hopefully, is what's on record as the property boundary, but I don't really know. There's just been a lot of issues on the property boundaries. So hopefully everybody's talking from the same page there. So that's it.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Brief on the poles, please. And the visibility of the road.
Yeah. So as far as impact to the road, there's no impact to the road itself. Obviously, we're not building or working down there, and we've got we'll have a performance guarantee for any damage done to the road through construction. I was actually just pulling up the plan to try to look and see. So the array starts roughly 700 to 750 feet off of McLucas Road, and it's elevation-wise, it's at the highest point, maybe it's 100 feet above that level. There's going to be 750 feet of woods, trees, everything else. I mean, from the road, and I haven't driven or walked that road all the way up, so I guess I'm not sure, but typically sight lines, when you're looking uphill like that, you're gonna see trees on the side of the road before you can't see through the trees to see up the side. I'm not gonna guarantee there aren't breaks or that sort of thing. We're not gonna be able to peek through and maybe see the array, but by and large, everything is far away and elevated from the roadway. So beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I guess. But with regard to the poles, so we're going to install new poles from McLucas Road up into the array because there are none there right now, obviously. As far as the service upgrade from where McLucas Road intersects our access road, where we connect there, that's going to be dependent in large part on the power company and the condition of the existing poles. What Tom had outlined earlier, I mean, these are not, there's not going to be a 500-foot wide series of high tension wires coming out of this thing. It ties into traditional three-phase, which is you go down any street, phone pole, T-top, 3 wires going across the top. That's how this connects. So depending on the condition of the poles and that sort of thing, the power company may opt to remove and install a new pole. They may be able to install a T-top on the existing pole. I mean, that's more them, I guess, than us as the utility supplier for the area. But they're not going to be substantially different than what's there right now. Those were the comments I had from her.
Those were hers, yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else on Zoom?
Ann Gould, do you have any questions or comments? Can you unmute for me?
She's muted.
Yeah, she's muting herself. Ann, David, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns?
No, I've been listening to the dialogue, and at this point, about the only question that we do have is whether or not a chain link fence could be used at perhaps a larger openings near the bottom so that it doesn't impact the use of small wildlife of the area inside the 20-foot zone. That's about the only question we have.
Thank you.
For the record, who was that?
That was David Gould.
Okay.
Go ahead, yes.
Yeah, so with regard to the, I understand what he's asking for. I can say that that's not the typical or the traditional installation. I mean, here usually it's just a regular 7-foot tall chain link fence. You know, animals in and out of the, I mean, do we want animals in there?
Not really.
I was gonna say.
We do have,
Come on up.
yeah. On some of our arrays in Europe, we do have sheep, in fact, in there grazing, believe it or not, but sheep in the northeast would attract wolves and other issues like that. Usually, you know, they become a nesting habitat, they become a lot of different things that we don't interfere with. We don't typically keep the chain link up high off the ground. It's brushed along the top of the ground, whatever the elevation is, and I believe that's driven by the electrical code. So that's what we do. Usually you know, there is different wildlife that'll get in and out, and we don't interfere with it. Okay, we just do 2 cuttings a year, and as Jeff highlighted earlier on, we do essentially, if you took a solar array and divided it into 4 quarters, every year we go up with, every quarter we go up with 2 electricians, and they go through 1 quarter, all the equipment. And then they go through another quarter, and basically there's 4 trips a year for 2 guys in the truck, that type of a thing. Unless, of course, there's a problem, then you need to get a team in. The array is constantly monitored, so everyone should.
Thank you. Is there anybody else on Zoom that would like to speak?
May I add on to that, please? It's David Gould again.
Oh, yep, sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. I'm not a forester, but I do have a large piece of property nearby and trying to learn as much about forestry as I can. And certainly when there are clear cuts in the forest, good things can happen. There are, and again, a forester could answer the question far more technically than I could, but a lot of the small, when an opening in the forest is cut, a lot of the small mammals, like cottontail rabbits, certain types of birds, others can actually benefit greatly from that opening. And so the purpose of my question was not to think about grazing sheep in there or you know, excluding other large mammals, but to consider it as any other forest clear cut that basically is beneficial to the wildlife in the area is what I was trying to get to. And I would think that some sort of a fence design that would allow them to move freely in and out of that zone would be beneficial to the wildlife in the area, to the area itself, and might complement what is being proposed. Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Angela, do you have anyone else on Zoom?
I do not have any additional on Zoom.
Okay. No more on the calls, Gary?
Correct.
Anybody from in the building, would you like to speak again?
Yes, please.
If you would like to follow up, go for it.
Sure. In correspondence to the poles and power coming into the road, is it my understanding that the power coming into this property will be no different than any other? I believe it is, because it was said. My question here would be, as a benefit to you, is that any other abutters able to power into that power, meaning direct line, not your solar source, but just power. Let's say I wanted to build 2 houses hypothetically on a ridge. It's an idea in my head I made up. But if I was to use power coming in off your 750-foot road, is that power hypothetically accessible if I wanted to build a house?
That would be at the discretion of the utility, I'm afraid. When we build
If you could please swap so we can hear.
Absolutely.
I would love that.
Thank you very much.
When our array is built and the interconnection is completed, we have updated numbers of pieces of switchgear, etc., at the substation. There are new cables that come along. There's an existing single-phase line, which is basically a single pole, just with one single wire on it. That will remain, but I think that's getting either put onto our pole or our poles are replacing it. So there is substantial structure available. With regard to the wires, I can't answer that. That's a utility question. But I do know that it's not unusual that the utilities simply add on whatever they want to the new pole that was put in under our interconnection costs.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if that is it for the public.
We can close the public hearing.
All right. Public has had a voice, so I will close the public hearing. Thank you, everyone. Zoom calls physically for your comments.
Absolutely.
And
because we'll be discussing this during our planning board meeting, so we might want to let them know, right?
yeah. The next item on the agenda is the planning board's discussion with all your concerns freshly on our minds.
Fantastic.
Okay. You're welcome to stay if you would like, but all I ask is it's the planning board's turn, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
What do you say? Want to go to the shooting club? No, I'm kidding. I can't do that.
So we opening it up to the board?
I just waiting for it.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, next item on the agenda, old business. HEP Energy, continuation of your application. Who's it, anybody first? Would you like to say something?
Are we letting them talk again, or just opening it up to the board for discussion and issues and questions?
Do you have anything, or Lee J first?
But you need to
I'd
open
let
up
Lee J go.
for the board's discussion at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so I'll open officially this meeting to the board's discussion.
Yep. Who's first?
Who would be first?
I propose that Lee J go first, go over his memos and highlight any issues that he sees with the project, and that way the board can take them up for discussion.
Putting me on the spot, aren't you?
Yeah.
Hold on one moment. Apologize, I'm on my phone now. For some reason, I lost my internet connection, and it was quicker to get back on my phone, my Zoom on my phone than it was to Zoom through my laptop. All right, so my second memo, which you folks had gotten, I won't bore you with the whole top half, but I will go straight to the issues of concern that I had raised at that time, which are part of the discussion that you had this evening. So, I indicated that while the applicant has not provided a survey, one should be supplied for the site. The plan set would suggest this information is based on tax map information, and from experience, the tax maps are not always accurate. This issue was discussed at the previous meeting, and the applicant was willing to provide a partial survey to confirm the frontage and portion of the site. This still has not occurred, in the sense that we have not received that information. I guess I'll take some liberties and indicate it would be staff's recommendation that based on some of the other discussion that occurred tonight, that a full boundary survey be provided, because I think that there's other information out there at this point that would suggest there are other discrepancies with property boundaries out there. I'll stay on that for a second if I may, because I think some of the public folks had questions regarding that, and I just want to kind of set it so that everybody understands going in that if and when we get a boundary survey and it has been stamped by a surveyor, that is typically the information that the planning board accepts as trustworthy information, because the surveyor has stamped it as a legal document. If there are still discrepancies that abutters have with the property line that impacts their property, that becomes a civil matter between them and not one for the planning board to deal with. We don't take care of property boundary disputes. So if we receive a stamped, signed survey by a surveyor indicating it is a true and attested survey, that's what the planning board accepts for this application. Any other discrepancies between the butters is a civil matter between them. As with, I'm going to skip number 2. Number 2 has been somewhat controversial, and I'm not going to really get into that, and it deals with the whole issue of pilots. I have toned my memo down for the board. I don't think you will see that as a condition of approval. If the applicant is willing to participate, they may do so. Other than that, I'm not going down that road. Number 3, the applicant still has not provided any decommissioning plan and dollar amount associated with it. We did receive that late today. I haven't had a chance to take a close look at it, but from my quick peek, it seems at this point the dollars associated with that decommissioning are in line with other projects that I've seen, both in Waterboro and outside of Waterboro. So I will take a closer look at it on behalf of the town, but it doesn't seem that far off at this point. Number 4, in a closer look at the documentation, I have a question on who has the authority to execute anything to do with the project. That was raised early first thing tonight regarding Don Piper being indicated as the owner, and that title has been transferred, as I understand it. Now Avery Day is the sole owner, because there was a document, 2 documents, excuse me, that were in the original submission that indicated Donald Piper was the owner, and then there was an executed joint tenancy agreement between Piper and the Days. Based on the statement tonight, it seems as though the Days outright own this property and are the ones who are executing any agreements going forward with this project. The applicant will be required to provide the town with an escrow instrument for the time period during construction, which will cover needed repairs to McLucas Road created by construction vehicles traveling back and forth over the town road. The town's Public Works Department has established a base amount of $55,260 with an additional 25% overage the amount. So that will be a required bond amount of $69,075 prior to the start of construction. That would become a condition of approval if the board approves this project. And I'm sure there will be other conditions associated with the project at that time. But that is giving you a heads up as to the dollar amount that is being recommended through Public Works with a 25% overage on that. Again, my memo does state, prior to moving forward on this project, the town needs answers to the above issues, and I think other issues were raised by some of the public tonight. And so at this time, I'm not prepared to make a recommendation of any type on this project. I think the applicant needs to complete a revised plan set, answer a number of these issues raised tonight, and possibly some additional ones during the board's deliberation, which are forthcoming. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Lee J.
Ready?
Ready.
All right. Well, we've got Lee J. Lee J, I'm hoping that this is something that you can answer. As everybody may be aware, the previous two solar businesses that came through here, they were the owners of the property, whereas this applicant is a lessee. Now, my concern is, how do you hold the landowner responsible for any of the conditions placed on the applicant should the applicant disappear?
Great question. You could require the applicant to place a construction bond, as well as the decommissioning bond, on this site. And actually, I would recommend that the town of Waterboro be named as the recipient of that bond money if the applicant should walk away and not complete the project. That is a typical instrument that is used in subdivisions when infrastructure is being proposed, and that could be included on this project as well.
Okay. So it wouldn't help if the landowner was made, let's say, a co-applicant? Your way is the way that it's normally handled by the towns?
No, the landowner normally is not a co-applicant, as it's responsibility for any of the infrastructure that's proposed by any applicant on any project. That's why the bond would need to be put in place prior to the issuance of any permits for them to go forward, and it would name, their instrument would name Waterboro as the recipient of that bond.
And in the general notes, does it cover the situation that, let's say, 10 years down the road, the applicant sells the business, that the conditions, that everything that's gone with the approval will also be applied against the new owner?
So the approvals that are granted run with the property. They don't run with the owner or applicants. So anything that's put in place that somebody else purchases after the fact will still be responsible for that. And that's 10 years or 20 years or the decommissioning plan. So all of that will run with the permits and the project and not the owner.
All right, great, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to bring those up because I don't know if people have dealt with those issues before.
Yeah. That's a great question.
And a question for the applicant on the decommissioning evaluation and cost estimate that we were provided with. Just two questions about two things that were stated in here. In the first paragraph, it mentions that the proposed project will be restored back to a stable condition. How is that defined, stable condition? Because usually we speak in terms of pre-construction and post-construction and getting it back to what it was prior.
Right. Do you want to do it? Or?
Yeah, we're just talking about erosion plantings and that sort of thing. Yeah, so we're talking basically about the EP's definition of a stable condition, which is non-erosive, no bare ground, anything that is not going to, erode, cause sedimentation, beyond the project site. Part of what we're proposing here, through the actual development, is going to involve that. I mean, we're planting everything that's disturbed with meadow mix grasses. For that very reason, the grasses hold the soils and keep everything on site, where it should be. As part of the decommissioning, it's not the plan or the intent, to replant trees and that sort of thing.
Right, yeah, not to bring it back to existing conditions.
Exactly, not to pre-construction conditions, but it will be stable from an erosion and sedimentation.
And while you're up there, then in the first sentence of the second paragraph, it just mentions, upon abandonment or discontinuation of use, the owner shall be responsible for the removal. Who's the owner? Is it the landowner or is it the business owner?
It's the business owner.
The business owner of the array, okay.
Yep.
And I think that's all the questions that I have right now. I'll let everybody else deal with the butters' comments. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dwayne.
All right, well, thank you.
Oh,
Just pull
David,
your
you're,
mic down.
David, you're next. You'll be next.
Okay, I had just a couple of questions on the revised footprint that was offered, because that has effectively, it will effectively change the original application in terms of what areas were to be graded to achieve your maximum solar exposures. It affects the fire department approval that is still forthcoming. Affects the DEP and other evaluations that were included in the original application with respect to erosion issues, wildlife, so forth and so on, vernal pools. And the new application really doesn't address any of those issues. So I'm a little concerned that right now we went from dealing with a fairly full deck to dealing with a mock-up that doesn't answer a lot of the questions the original application addressed. So I guess my question is, what's the plan? How do we resolve those?
Is your question, what's the plan for the planning board, or?
No, it's to the applicant, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So, and I mean, by all means, jump in here if I'm missing anything that you're saying. But I mean, what I understood in that comment was, you know, we've taken the configuration of the array is different now, and basically has to be because of the requirement for the fire department access road all the way out. It was just 3,000 feet of road. It was too much. It was a deal breaker for the project. So we had to come back and kind of reshuffle a little bit. Now I understand the look is different than what we had presented before, but the overall size, the overall scope, we're still dealing with something that's almost 20 acres. We're still dealing with the same access road. It's just all in one piece instead of two different pieces. And I guess I'm not sure exactly what other concerns there were in terms of environment or other issues that would require, I guess, additional consideration.
Well, I think my point is that the comments on your original application were related to the original footprint. Now you've changed the footprint, so the comments, unless they were just generic comments about the whole 100 and some odd acre site, now don't have the same relevance they had because the footprint's changed. So I want to make sure that there, or be at least assured that, as part of the refined application, that the vernal pools, the streams, all the environmental issues are unchanged from the original application in spite of the footprint change that covers different ground. I mean, we still have a fire department that, as of December 10th, has will not sign off on the project as it's written. So, you know, that's just a showstopper at this point, as far as I'm concerned. You know, so that's my basic concern. If we're sort of flying blind and reviewing this right now because we don't have even an agreement as to what the access to the site is going to look like and what the new footprint covers or doesn't cover.
Okay, so with regard to environment and natural resources and vernal pools and wetlands. Different footprint, but it all still applies. You know, we're still outside of the 250-foot critical terrestrial habitat for the vernal pool. You know, we still stayed out of there. We still have no wetland impacts. We still have the stream crossing that we're dealing with at the access road. With regard to you know, an approvable plan in the eyes of the, you know, fire department. I mean, honestly, it's the access road and the fire department requirements that are driving these changes, and we're doing the best that we can to adapt. You know, I've had conversations with the fire marshal just to make sure that we understand what they're looking for on this project in terms of access. And I think that, you know, based on the comments that we received the other day on our resubmission that we delivered on the 8th, I think that we're very close to an access road and plan that they will be able to support. I can share a screen and show you, you know, how things have changed a little bit even since the applications that you have on your desk.
You can share your screen, but it's not
No,
in front of us today.
I understand, but
I'd not be surprised.
It is not in front of us today because you can share us for what's going to be shown in the future if the board is pleased, wants to see what will be changed, or you can just let us have our comments and...
Have your comments then. Have your comments. I'll continue to work.
And then go off and do what you do and...
Okay. Does anybody, is Debbie still here? Yeah, there's Deb.
Yep.
Do you have any comments, Deb? No? Okay. That was simple. You or me? Go for it.
All right, well, thank you, Jim. I'm definitely going to want to see a new print, which I have going on, because, help me if I'm reading this wrong, I'm looking at the print, I'm working on the only one I have, the most recent one, print C102, and it looks like the fence line isn't set back.
There are some sections where it is.
They can't do that.
Fence is not structure.
I'll look into that.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, let's see.
The fence is a structure, by the way.
It is a structure.
It is a structure.
Yeah.
Okay. The comprehensive plan has directed the planning board to have all new utilities underground. So I'll be looking for that.
Dwayne, can you repeat that one?
The comprehensive plan has directed planning board for all new projects, whenever possible, to put new utilities underground.
Thank you.
Let's see, so obviously I'll be looking for the fire department approval. Surveys, the planning board has stepped in the past when we've gotten conflicting surveys. I'll remind you old schoolers out there, the boat shed fiasco. Because this is a town road, it automatically brings into play the driveway ordinance. Yes or no?
It does.
Okay. Which is, what, I forget, like first 15 feet is like 24 feet wide with a 20, I forgot how that goes.
Yeah, we haven't even
The apron.
crossed that bridge.
All right, but we're gonna get there.
We're gonna get there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in the DEP letter, even though I see you're outside your wetlands, but and even if they come back and say it's not their purview, that's fine, because if the best part about going to DEP is they look at it and they give an assessment of the runoff and everything else. I feel very comfortable if I get something from the state. Okay, I guess we covered this proof of ownership. And let's see. As far as income, I read that the town, we can evaluate what this project would be worth and make an agreement of payment.
I think Mr. Lamb and the tax assessor have been talking about that.
Okay.
That's not our purview, actually.
What do you mean?
The planning board shouldn't even be concerned about that.
No, I disagree.
Well, my opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
So, the privacy fence. We should look into that maybe in some sections. We'll see what neighbors are really imposed on, because there was something said about what 50-foot foliage, but dead middle of winter, all that goes away. So let's look into certain sections for certain neighbors. I'm not suggesting you have to surround the whole project with it. We've done that before. I could cite a restaurant that we did that for.
Yep.
And didn't we, on previous projects, I don't know how it turned out, but I thought we had a discussion where the fence was a little bit off the ground. Okay, great.
It was elevated 6 to 8 inches on both the prior ones to allow for the animals to go underneath.
Okay. Oh, has anybody talked to because you said something about this was a trail. The road that goes in there was a trail. You mentioned it was a snowmobile or ATV.
Oh, yeah, an
bridge. Tell me about that.
ATV or snow machine, something, yes.
And where did that trail go to? Right through your property?
I don't have any idea, actually.
Can we reach out to the ATV and snowmobile clubs, please?
Isn't that private property now?
I guess that would be true too.
That's up to them.
How about?
It's always been up to them.
Well, let's at least put them and them together. We did make I understand they came to an agreement with other projects where they get to ride around on the edge just outside the fence or something. We like to, we have very active clubs out here. So, in closing, I like a complete package on my desk when I vote. So, I'm really not interested in moving forward with anything by condition. I definitely want new surveys, and that'll be by a state of Maine contractor, certified contract. And new paperwork. And that's where I'm at. I'm very interested in the underground utilities. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Dwayne, could you clarify what you want them to supply from DEP?
We've had DEP come in because it's close to wetlands.
Yep.
Then we got letters before from DEP on projects where they were within reasonable distance from, because they're going to give us the environmental impact. Is this stuff going to wash off into the wetland and things like that?
Yep.
I'm willing to get together with you because we've had DEP letters before, and I feel very comfortable having them. But
I just want them to understand what you're requesting, that's all.
The DEP look at this
project. So you want an assessment, you want the DEP to give you an assessment.
Right, of what this project will do, all these solar panels will run off, same standard procedures we asked for in other projects.
Yep.
Outside of the regular DEP permits that we're applying for?
May I jump in, Madam Chairman?
I'm done.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Lee J.
I suspect they are applying for some permit by rules that's merely paperwork that they give to the DEP, and in some cases, if the DEP is okay with it, they don't even provide anything back in writing. I suspect, and I'm not going to put words in Dwayne's mouth by any means, but I suspect what he might want to see is to have a third-party review done by an independent engineering firm to corroborate their design and whether or not it's appropriate.
Peer review.
Is that what you're thinking about, Dwayne? Because we have done that.
Yeah, thank you, DJ. Just anything to make me feel more comfortable about where this water is going to run off and what's going to happen to the properties, because that's, let's face it, we're a country town.
So what I suspect will need to happen is once we get a much more complete application, then we're going to need to entertain a third-party engineering firm to review their work.
Thank you. Let's see. We had some comments from, okay, it covers the survey, and these other issues I can take up after the fact. Look at all my notes. All right, I'm good for now, thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Anything further?
Yeah. A couple things on the decommissioning plan. Thank you, Madam Chair. But before I jump to that, I want any future plans that come to the board to have amendment dates on them, so Angela and I can keep track of what's being submitted. So the last two plans have exactly the same dates on them. I mean, it's obvious what came first, but I want the plans to actually be dated as far as amendment dates.
You want appropriate revision and revisions in the
Yeah, so
title
we
block?
can keep track of them. I mean, there might be 4 more revisions, we don't know.
Okay.
The decommissioning plan, first paragraph, it says, based upon the site design plans by the client. So I would like to see a date inserted there, so we know what the decommissioning plan is related to, the date of the plan this company is looking at. Right now, that doesn't say that. You understand?
No, I don't get it.
Okay.
I don't get it.
So it's based upon the site design. What site design?
Right, we don't have a finalized site design yet.
So this decommissioning plan has to be related to a specific site plan by date.
So Greg, you understand we have revision blocks on each plan sheet, and each time we issue a new plan, we update the revision block?
Yeah, but you haven't done that in the last 2.
Yeah, this is what we just submitted. Once we submitted on the 8th, we get 3 different revisions.
Okay. On page 2 of the decommissioning plan, they're assuming a 2% yearly inflation for a 20-year proposed lifespan. What happens if $195,000 isn't enough?
So that's what the bond was starting?
I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there. And there's no time frame when the decommissioning would start. You know, if the site is abandoned, does the decommissioning start right off, or does it start 365 days down the road? So I'd want a time frame inserted on that. That's all I have.
Yeah, I haven't even read that yet, so I got that tonight, so, one more?
Yes, thank you. And can I get bigger font, please?
Okay. Has everybody who is zoomed in on the board spoken at least one round? Yeah.
I'll give you first crack before I just follow up on a couple of
Okay,
things.
and, all right. As with everybody else, there was significant changes to the footprint. Not the impacts, but the footprint.
Right.
I want to begin with the lease agreement, and I didn't read the entire thing that was provided. But in looking at the plan, you're leasing a piece of property. Is that going to be a designated area with meets and bounds as a out parcel or leased area?
Yes.
And you will have that provided data with it, okay? I know some stuff has gone back and forth with the boundary survey itself. It started off as partial boundary survey, but now some stuff has been thrown around as at least a survey of the property, so on the entire property. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what I'm hearing.
So that's out there.
Would you repeat that, please?
Originally, there was sort of just their area of development, was going to be ultra-surveyed, but now in light of the additional information from some of the abutters who are not on the southern end, and their concerns up here, they have information and can provide and help out with the boundary survey. Okay? So there was a little transition on that. I don't really know how anybody feels, but, and then my other concern, and I don't know if you guys if this is a negotiation as we speak, but with the change in the footprint, there now is no longer any access road to the other end of the site. Your road stops at 750.
We're addressing that with the fire department now.
Okay, all right. And is the road entering the solar array, will that be part of the lease agreement or right of way?
As I recall, I believe it's right away, and I don't want to confirm that, I'd have to go back.
Okay, well, I'm throwing it out there, that's
think so.
something that is of concern of mine.
Actually, no, it would be part of the lease agreement because it's part of the impacted area of up to 20 acres.
Okay.
It's part of the lease.
Okay, so it's probably going to be included with your lease agreement and,
That's the way it's usually completed.
okay, all right. These aren't set in concrete foundations, they're just screwed into the ground?
Correct.
Setbacks are covered, already raised. My thoughts that I want a new package to review. It seems that's a consensus on foregoing approval until we get a new package, is what I'm sensing.
Agreed.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions to be
Right.
answered. And the packet will probably address all
David,
of
you're
them.
probably, your agreement with you definitely, I got that feeling from you.
Yes, I agree.
Yes. Lee J, is this a table until,
Can I ask them just two more?
oh, yes, you may.
All right, all right. Well, this will probably be in the packet. The applicant mentioned they're going to be checking the electrical code to see about the fencing, if wood fencing is even permitted around an electrical installation.
Correct, not only that, but as far as being off the ground, or as far as having wider openings and that sort of thing, I don't have that answer right now. I can tell you, I've never seen that, and I've worked on between 20 and 30 different arrays across the state.
All right, and what Ms. Prescott brought up about the utilities being underground, when before the power is sent off-site, the electrical sent off-site, does it get stepped up before it hits the transmission lines?
So there are
and if so, is that allowed to be underground? That's because I seem to recall that you can't.
Right. So there are the first 4 poles that come in are mounted with different equipment to manage the power and the conversion and the interconnection. Those are always pole mounted, and there's probably an opportunity after that to have a riser pole, to have them step down, but that first, they even require specific spacing on the poles. They can be no closer than, what is it, like 50 feet or something like that. So you have basically a couple hundred feet of poles and that's part of the electrical conversion and everything else. After that, it's certainly an option, but kind of beyond that, kind of like the fence, we're going to be obligated to follow what electrical code requires, what the power supply requires.
Because I think there's confusion that even some residents, and I know I was before I had learned all about it, that people are used to solar panels being on houses and everything, and you can tap right into it for home usage.
Yeah.
But when you have a solar array set up like this, you can't just tap into it,
Yeah,
because it's stepped up way beyond house usage,
Right,
which
this
is
community
120
scale power.
volts.
This is not, yeah, this community.
Because now you're
scale
going
power.
into kilovolts and kilowatts and
Right.
everything else, so.
Right. Yeah, it's not the same setup as what you have on your house.
Right.
It's similar
And that's why you can't just,
concept,
that's
but-
why a neighbor can't just tap into the solar array.
Well,
Because
and-
it'll blow the house up.
Right, but as far as the question and comment that they had before about certainly the upgraded lines, you know, beyond or on the opposite side or on the consumer side, completely up to the power company. And I have no reason to believe that they would object to connection at that point.
Right.
Between where those, between the interconnection and the array, I think it's unlikely because that's all, I mean, there are inverters within the array itself that kind of help.
Right now, the poles going up, do they remain the responsibility of the applicant, or once they're up, they're handed over to the utility company?
My understanding is that from the point of interconnection to the array belongs to the array. And
Okay.
from the point of interconnection
Forward.
to the, yeah, goes to the power company.
As it goes to their substation.
Correct.
Somewhere, to be
Correct.
probably stepped up even more.
Right.
For long-distance transmission.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
At the same time, while I'm thinking of it, and you're also looking into the fence thing, you know, stockade fence, I don't, you know, look into it. Also check if maybe chain link fence with a polyvinyl screen.
It'll
Or-
melt in case there's
Is
a
it?
fire, because you're dealing with high.
Well, then, I mean, then we don't need to look into a stockade fence, do we?
Well, the electrical code, does it state in there that for electrical facilities like this, it doesn't have to be a chain link fence? Because I've never seen any other
I've never
electrical
seen
site
that.
with anything other than chain
Other
link
than
fences
chain link
around it.
fence,
Yeah.
Cameras
And
at the
honestly,
corners.
I'd raise the question that, again, we're not only 50 feet from our property line, and we're 750 feet from the road. I mean, the closest house, you know, even on their own properties, you know, it's a ways. I don't know, I mean, I'll take a look, I'll Google Earth, but, I mean, if the closest house is 300 feet away, I'd be surprised.
Are you able to do a virtual rendering to show what the sight lines, what it would look like? Not from necessarily their point of view, but from the array looking out to see what possibly. Because if standing at the array, you can see a house over there, then they certainly can see the array from there.
Right. That's usually not the way that we do those. We've done visual impact assessments and that sort of thing, not for these projects, but for other
Right,
shoreline
yeah.
projects and that sort of thing. And those are usually completed from the point of view of the, not from what you're building, but where you're looking from.
Right, yeah.
Because that's the concern.
Right,
Is
yeah,
that-
I just didn't want to send you out to people's homes
Well,
and
right,
everything. It's usually
right.
from the streets and.
I mean, we could probably pull something together based on topo and that sort of thing, but again, I mean, you're talking about hundreds of feet.
Yeah, I'm just trying to satisfy some of the concerns and
Yeah.
to help maybe put their minds at ease a little bit.
Yeah.
On the visual impact.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if somebody's seeing this from their house. I mean, they'll see potentially panels, but I don't know if they're gonna be able to tell me what type of fence it is from there. We can look into it.
Okay, yeah, that's all. Great, thank you.
This colored fence here. This green fence that's brown, here, that color one black.
Did you have
Please.
something to
Yes.
say?
Thank you, Ed, for bringing up that point about the stepping up. Where can I get the math from where all this electricity is gathered from these panels to where it gets sent up the pole and out to the street?
That'll be from the electrical design.
I can provide you with your single lane drawing.
I would like to get the math, because I know someone who can piece it all together and we get some definites on whether this can be underground. I want to thank you very much, Ed, for pointing that out. Just send it to my planning board email if you would.
It'll be included in the submittal to everybody.
Great.
Thank you. So I'm going to assume, well, I won't assume, for tonight, the consensus was pretty much we need to see a new review
Complete
package before we move forward. DJ, is this a table?
Or not?
Yeah,
For now.
you want me to make the motion?
And my only other question is, when could you comfortably be ready? The first or the second meeting in January?
First meeting. I mean, we're already 90% through.
No,
the
yeah, and I
fire
know you
department.
have works with the fire department.
Yeah.
I just don't want,
Yeah.
I don't want to short you of time.
No,
So
no.
if, you know, tabling this until the first meeting of January,
I think we got the fire department and some of the staff comments towards the end of last week. And since then, we've been working on plans to make the updates, so we're pretty far along already.
Lori,
Yep.
can you hold that thought for a second?
I
Just
will.
because I want to give Jeff a definite date that I need plans in my hands to provide for you guys.
thank you very much.
So today is the 16th. If you're looking at coming on January 6th, I need plans in my hands no later than the 25th. Well, we're not here the 25th.
Christmas Day.
Yeah, Christmas Day, Jeff, that would be my Christmas.
There we go. So we're talking next Thursday.
Yeah, so we're
I
looking.
understand their desire to
May I
move this
have to
thing
hold a second
forward.
on that?
Hold on, I
Hold
got three people talking.
What was that, Lee J?
I understand their desire to move this application along quick. Staff would like to have time to review it, not see it and try to react to it in a day turnaround for a memo.
Good point.
And we're not even sure if the application will be all encumbering at that point. If they want to shoot for that date, they can shoot for that date. I'm not sure I'll be prepared for that date.
And didn't they want a peer review?
I mean, in all reality, for our sanity in the office, I know you guys want to push through, but I know you've been involved in the barrage of emails that have gone back and forth.
I'm just looking at the calendar.
The amount going on in our office for our sanity, it may work better to push for the 20th.
I have one more question for Lee J. Peer review that Dwayne was asking. How was the time frame on that?
Are you asking for a peer review?
I thought we were.
You mean staff
Okay.
review? Department staff
So I
review.
need to retain an engineering firm to review information that I don't have yet. So, that too is gonna take time, and every engineering firm is as busy as all the other engineering firms and as busy as we are as well. I mean, I got 4 other towns I work for, so, anyway, I will try my best, and I will try to engage an engineering firm as soon as we can, so that they're prepared to go when the application comes in.
Okay, so before we do that, I want to make sure that was the intent, was to have someone look over their stormwater stuff, or is the DEP thing that you were asking for, is that going to be sufficient?
From what I understand, Lee J was telling us it's mostly just paperwork shuffle. So I guess I'd be going for stormwater management for third-party reviews. Is that correct, Glenn?
Yeah, that would still be the engineering firm that Lee J is talking about.
Okay, great.
So they would look at all of that.
Can I just add something here?
Certainly.
So if what you're looking for is a stormwater review, okay, this project, based on the amount of area, so under 20 acres, and based on the amount of impervious impervious area, which is less than an acre, does not trigger stormwater management law. It doesn't trigger stormwater permit by Chapter 500. So there's no stormwater quality or quantity treatment.
Okay.
What is required by DEP standards is a stormwater permit by rule, which we are completing. And then there will be, with regard to natural resources, we've got to complete the design on the stream crossing, okay, which will be an NRPA permit by rule specifically for the stream crossing. So if you want somebody to review stormwater management, I mean, outside of regular roadside ditches and some culverts and that sort of thing, there's nothing to review.
Well, I think, Jeff, what they're suggesting is that you're going to need to do an analysis that shows that the CFSs aren't going to increase based on all of those new panels being there and on the roadway design.
Okay, so that's not required for this project by DEP. I haven't
Correct.
seen where that's required in the town ordinance either.
But the planning board can certainly ask for whatever they want from an applicant. And I think that's what they're asking for.
Go ahead, Wayne.
I'm willing to meet up with Glenn and Lee J and discuss this a little more, but yes, we can by condition. As a condition of approval of this permit, we can ask for a lot of things. So,
Okay,
oh no, so I was saying,
all right.
we'll have a conversation before I go there.
No, and that's fine, I've always operated under the understanding the planning board, reviews and interprets according to the ordinance in place. They don't make policy per se.
So,
Well,
instead
that's
of,
not a policy, Jeff, that's a technical review. And the planning board certainly has the ability to request that, considering could be downstream impacts. And I know you're gonna sit there and say, no, there aren't any downstream impacts, so to prove it to me. You need to do that analysis, and we need to have someone look at it.
Perfect.
perfect?
Good.
Okay, and what's the time frame on that? Let me put it this way. Would that be hard to do for the January 6th meeting?
Yes, absolutely. Can we
Okay?
just leave it open-ended?
Lori, they also made the comment, and the survey isn't gonna be completed until mid-January, so you're still not gonna have your survey information.
That was my other question, so I've got two questions
Right.
now, and then
Sure.
both of these are gonna impact when we can deliver our next application and schedule our next meeting.
Certainly.
Number one, are you going to require a stormwater analysis for this project?
Okay,
Okay.
number one. Yep.
Which would tie into a potential peer review or a letter from DEP or whatever you decide you want. The other question is, can the project be, or will you consider conditional approval of the project pending the survey?
I don't think we can.
I don't even see anybody remotely thinking that they're willing to do that without.
Madam Chairperson, what we're trying to get at is, we want to leave here knowing what our instructions are, because we're going to spend a tremendous amount of money. Least of all then, full alter, this is going beyond a full alter survey. You're going into a lot of research, other stuff that's going to be needed. Speaking to all these people to find out what they have, and then we have to prove whether it's right or wrong, what the surveys are, put it together. Just that one item. Now we got this additional work on the survey side. What we're trying to find out is this new footprint was given there, and with the permission of the approval of the fire department, and keeping under 20 acres, and providing what you wanted, sir, in addition to the survey work, will this become something you can approve? And the reason I ask that is because it's very hard for me to phone my nice banker in Germany and say, well, I need an additional $50,000 here to go do this, you know? So that's what we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
You know, and Angela and everybody in the office have been great. I don't see this coming in on January 6th or December 25th or whatever, be truthful. Whatever I believe from what you've seen here, our experience here tonight, you're going to want that survey. Everybody's asked about that survey.
Everybody's very concerned about the
That
survey.
survey.
Yeah.
So that has to be the cornerstone of which everything is built on here. But I need to know that, yeah, if that footprint meeting all the requirements, are we in the right direction? There may be nuances and twists, but are we in the right direction?
So on the survey, you just want clarification for condition of approval for a survey?
No, the footprint of our design is a new single array, single footprint.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet these road requirements, we keep under 20 acres, if we meet the requirements of the fire department and code enforcement, and the items that are in the decommissioning bond and so forth like that. Is this approvable on your way? And that's where I'm trying to get to, because I'm trying to not,
Anything.
Okay, everybody will get, I will definitely ask everybody. My opinion, I just wanted, you know, this side, where you're tying it into this side, and I wanted hardcore where you were going to be
Right.
on the development lot.
And that makes sense, and that's reasonable.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, BJ.
I'm going to advise you folks to be very careful on answering this question, because what you're doing is going down a road of almost guaranteeing them an approval. And I think you're far from guaranteeing anything on this project until they can prove to us or prove to you that they can meet all of the standards under the site plan review ordinance. So I would consult you to tell them what you want for information, and I would suggest you do not suggest any type of approvals guaranteed down the road.
Oh, I'm not guaranteeing anything. I just want to give them clear direction on what they are supposed to supply.
Well, they know by now.
But I heard the question being asked that if we submit that information, will we get an approval?
You can meet with staff.
Yeah, there is no guarantee.
What we don't want is a moving target. Okay, so if we're gonna have to do a stormwater model for this project, I'd like to know now. If we're gonna need a full boundary survey as opposed to a partial boundary survey, I need to know that now.
Okay.
And it just so that we can complete the work. I'm not looking for an approval, I just wanna know, you know, what's the target here?
Does this board want a full boundary survey, or would the partial for the leased area be fine?
I'd like to know what's required by code.
I don't know, because this is a leased area, it's not a full development, so they're not purchasing this.
The zoning ordinance does not stipulate whether you can ask for what you want. The zoning ordinance does not require a certain level of survey. I think it's on a project-by-project basis and an issue-by-issue basis.
Board's thoughts, they want to know if they're going to need to do a full boundary survey or a partial. Your thought
All right,
on
thank
both?
you. Well, I was thinking I was going to get together with Code and VIII and, you know, discuss this third-party stormwater management as well as a survey. But if you're looking for an answer right now, then my position is yes on both of them, or you can give the board a little bit of time But if you need an answer right now, my position is yes on both of them.
The survey is more critical at this point for us because we've got a guy that we've contracted to go out and do the work, and we need to let him know how much work he needs to do. The stormwater, I'm happy to wait for you guys if you want to talk about it. You know, I'm doing that work myself, so that's easier for me to manage.
Dwayne, are you looking for a full survey or just that piece?
Well, see, that's the part I didn't know. I only answered yes because, they wanted an answer now.
I'd rather
Who
see a
knows?
full survey.
Can somebody else shed a little more light on this for me?
Sure.
Maybe, what happened with Lee J? We lost him again?
Yeah. May I ask?
Certainly.
We'll end up doing through the financing part of this in Alta. I know there are 5 or 6 different levels of Altas that are done. That will include some level of boundary survey, a lot of history work, a lot of legal work that's done on it. We can send out our surveyors now for that Alta. It can come back to you, but it won't have the legal part of it done because I'm not going to have the lawyers do all their research and find out we're dead in the water because of all the people that are in the room, they're the most expensive. And but I can basically give you a boundary survey. Code enforcement wanted the road, and I think it was actually Mr. Feldman wanted the road done. I know that the Martins, because I've physically seen the flagging myself, they have a survey done in the northern border. Okay? We have to go back to that gentleman who was here for lot 33 and 33A. So what I would think is feasible is that we consolidate all this information that's out here and get it onto one document and prove it out to what is correct to the best of it. You know what I mean? We'll incorporate the work that was done by Edwards, wherever the name of the gentleman was in Westbrook.
Right.
And all these other people and get them on. They're all licensed surveyors. So what you're going to do is consolidate all that information, have our guys go out and measure and pick up the gaps and do that. Do the road to meet code enforcement. I think that'll give us everything we need. You know what I mean? To do it. Because we can't go to code enforcement and say we're starting an array right here without knowing where the border is, the boundary is. It has to be done. So.
And that was the point of the original comment, was that it was to make sure that we were not only on our property, but also adhering to the setbacks. And so Dwayne, for your history here, because you weren't here at the last meeting, the discussion originally came up was, 137 acres is a big parcel and an expensive survey. Do we need to do the full perimeter? Or can we do the edge that we're next to? Does it make sense for us to do a property line that's 1,000 feet away? Because it makes a difference in the dollars of the project.
Okay.
So that's where the partial came in.
But if we can consolidate our partial with what the Martins have, because I know their flags are out there, they have had it surveyed and other stuff. I think we can get a single document together.
Chair?
Yep, go ahead.
Glenn, have you dealt with anything like this before? Is what they're suggesting, and I get where you're coming from. It makes sense where you already got, I guess, how many years would be considered a current survey from the other properties? What's your position on this?
If the survey is stamped by a state of Maine surveyor, that survey is good for the lifetime.
Right.
Okay.
There's no expiration.
There is no expiration.
Okay.
But my concern, if I was sitting on the board, is you have to have enough information to satisfy the abutters' questions and concerns about the survey. The only way to do that, because the abutters are going to be looking, they are.
Yeah.
The only way to do that is a full survey. My office is going to require a certification that all their structures meet the setbacks. That's different than what the planning board is looking at. You need to protect the abutters and their concerns. That's your job. The only way to do that is a full survey, in my opinion.
Oh, Lydia's back. So,
The 137 acres was that put together through different purchases of parcels over the past 100, 200 years and put together?
No idea. That's what
I was looking at the
database
conveyance. I was looking at the conveyance to the days, and I can see in there, in the description in Exhibit A, where it's referencing going back into the 1800s, multiple different deeds that were done. So it looks like the 137 acres was pieced together from purchases, separate purchases, until it became unified under a single person. So it sounds like there has never been a survey of the entire 137. You might have little parts here and there, but I don't think there's ever been a survey done of the entire 137 acres.
Yeah, I don't know, I can't answer that.
So the question to the board would be yes or no on the full survey.
I'd like to see a full survey,
There you have it.
to be
Got
honest.
another one. David, full survey?
I am not on board with a full survey. I would prefer to see a survey that covers what we agree on as the site and any property within a to be determined limit from that site. So I mean, if we're 1,000 feet from the road, I don't think we need to survey that line. I think that we need to look at the outline of the property and look to the boundaries and see if there's anything, where there's any infringement.
Thank you, David. Deborah, do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I think that we should do a full survey, all things considered.
How many members do we have here tonight?
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Yeah, it's not something that you vote on.
No, I
it's
know,
just
I'm
what
just-
the consensus
it's
is
a
on the
straw
board.
poll.
Yeah, no, I
It's
understand.
called a straw poll.
Yeah, and the consensus is a full survey.
Okay.
With that in mind, Madam Chairman, may I ask that I go to code enforcement with our scope that will be given, that will come back from the surveyor to make sure it matches the requirements. There is, if you go down into the world of Alta, American Dancing, it gets very,
Yeah, no, you,
I just want to make sure that we're bringing you the right
yeah, you can fair,
okay?
yes.
Because what bankers may need might be different than, you know.
I'm pretty sure, you know, you get together with staff, that's in the room, is Lee J and Glenn, and they can help you with that.
Okay.
Okay? So, it looks like
Talking dates, right?
yeah.
Are we able to table it to a date? Does it have to be to a date certain, or can it just be a motion to table pending resubmission of the application packet from the applicant answering the questions, concerns, and issues and other information that requested?
That's a good point.
To be truthful, I'd rather do that, sir, because I don't want to be getting the committee or the board jaded by doing this or fatigued. I'd rather come back right.
There you go. Correct, Lee J?
Yep, he's nodding yes.
Yeah, I know he's nodding. I was looking.
Correct. You're correct.
Excuse me, Lee J, can you speak up?
Yes, you're correct.
Okay. Does it have to be that wordy?
Did Angela get that motion, or I can say it again?
All right.
That's what we always do.
Okay. So just say it again.
Motion to table pending new submissions with.
Resubmission.
Resubmission.
Yeah. Addressing the questions, concerns, and issues raised by the board and the public.
All right, what time? 9:03. We're going back to that.
And when you're done writing, Angela, if you could read that so everybody knows before I get a second, please.
Submissions addressing
The issues, questions, comments, and concerns. raised at tonight's meeting and previously outstanding.
Okay. Well, I know.
Got it.
I am using your experience
hey,
from the
More
other
than
town
happy,
right now.
more than happy to.
May I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Debbie has seconded that motion.
She seconds that emotion.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Now we need a roll call vote.
Oh, sorry.
Just keep me honest.
Any discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, Angela, if you would please, by roll call vote.
David Christensen,
Yes.
Deborah Burrows,
Thank you.
Yes.
Edward Zelman,
Oh, certainly yes.
Lori Anthony,
Yes.
Dwayne Prescott.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. And to owners representing. All right. So, get that
Next
to
item on
us.
the agenda.
Next item is,
Wait.
I don't even have any.
Communications.
The only communication that I had was the decommissioning plan that was forwarded today, and the email from Pat and John Martin, which was previously forwarded to you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we already have the communications. There's nothing under miscellaneous? Don't see anything?
You want to do the motion to adjourn?
The next item on the agenda is to adjourn.
Thank you.
So moved.
No, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I need a second.
Second.
David seconded it.
Happy holidays to everyone.
And we still need a vote, people.
Second.
You already have a second.
Oh.
David
Yeah.
Christensen,
Yes.
Deb Burrows,
Yeah.
Edward Zelmano,
Ho, 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 yes.
Lori Anthony,
Yes.
Dwayne Prescott.
Yes.
Motion passes.
This meeting is adjourned.
Good night.
Good night.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody.